Today we're going to be looking at the letter to the Church of Philadelphia. This is that famous letter that has that verse in it, Revelation 3:10, that promises to those who overcome, those who are faithful, that they will be kept from the hour of trial that comes on the whole earth to try those who dwell on the earth. This is a promise that many people have applied to present-day believers, and we're going to take a look at this verse. We're going to look at it in detail. We're going to answer the question, who does this verse apply to? What exactly is the hour of trial, and how long does it last? Because you have kept my word about patient endurance, I will keep you from the hour of trial. If you look at commentaries, and I spent the better part of last evening looking at other people's views or other people's understanding of what does it mean to be kept from the hour of trial. And most people focus on the word kept. Does it mean that you're kept out of, that you're kept through, that people will be here during this time of trial and God is going to keep them through it? Or does it mean that they're going to be removed altogether? I don't think that that's the important word. I think there are two other words that are more important here. The word hour and the word trial. So this is used as actually one of the defining verses to support or prove a pre-tribulation rapture. Okay, and so here's how that works. The hour of trial is usually interpreted as being the 7-year time of tribulation, which pre-tribulation eschatologists believe is the time of the wrath of God. So the full 7 years of tribulation is the wrath of God, which is why believers are not going to be here, because believers are not destined for the wrath of God. So the hour of trial is thought by most people who believe in a pre-tribulation rapture to be the 7 years of tribulation. And that the faithful Church of Philadelphia, they understand to represent all end-time believers who will be removed from the earth before the 7 years of wrath begins. Here's my question. Is this the best and most accurate interpretation of this passage? All right, so we're going to look at a couple things here. One is, who are these letters written to? Are they written to end-time believers like you and me, who will be here in the days leading up to Christ's second coming? Are these historical letters, or are these prophecy? Or is it some kind of a hybrid between the two? So among people who believe in a pre-tribulation rapture, the letters to the 7 churches are usually most often taught as the unfolding of church history, which would have begun at the time of the apostles, and then every succeeding age of church history would follow afterward. The persecuted church would be the letter to the church of Smyrna, and so on and so forth, through Catholicism, the Reformation, and missionary church, and up till present day end times. According to this method of interpretation of basically historical church ages, the Laodicean and Philadelphian churches usually represent the last 2 churches of the end times. So the Philadelphia church is the faithful church, and the Laodicean church is the lukewarm church. Now, the lukewarm church is going to be spewed out of Jesus' mouth. Okay, I talked about that in my video on the letter to the church of Laodicea. The Philadelphia church, though, says they're going to be kept from the hour of trial, okay, because of their patient endurance, and they overcome and so on. They'll be kept from the hour of trial. Most people who teach a pre-tribulation rapture also believe that every single Christian will be taken at the time of that rapture. So all believers will be taken, okay, as part of this Philadelphia church rapture before the 7-year tribulation. There's a problem here, okay, and maybe some of you have identified this problem already. The problem is that we've got the church of Laodicea. Are these people real Christians? Because if they are, they're going to be left behind. They're not part of that whole group then that's taken when Jesus comes for the Church of Philadelphia. Are the people in the letter to Laodicea, are they actual Christians or are they not? Okay, because if they're Christians, according to pre-tribulation eschatology, they need to go in that rapture too. But they're lukewarm and they're spit out of Jesus' mouth. Does this mean that they're not saved at all? Okay, and that's why they're left behind. Jesus says that the 7 lampstands are the 7 churches, and he walks among the 7 churches. Now, Jesus is responsible, or he's the steward over, the administrator of God's household. He's not the administrator over anybody else's household. It's Jesus' responsibility to ensure that these people, whether you're in the Church of Philadelphia or Laodicea, that you actually obtain that inheritance that has been promised for you. So it would seem that Church of Laodicea is just as much part of the churches or the church as the people from Philadelphia. There's nothing here that differentiates this group from any other group of the 7 churches. They're all given promises. They all have a messenger that's coming to them. They're all told that they must hear what the Spirit is saying to them. And they're all told that they need to overcome. So we've got a problem here if we think that it's just the Church of Philadelphia that's going to be taken in the rapture. In addition, I've already pointed out in other videos that Jesus says he's coming for all of these churches. Okay, that he is coming with the exception of the Church of Smyrna. We know that Jesus didn't come in the first century. He never came and collected any of those people. So I just want to make one other point here that I've made in numerous other videos, is that we don't see the church in Revelation. Okay, we see churches, assemblies, ecclesias, okay, groups of people who are worshiping God, who believe in Jesus. The church universal and triumphant that Paul talks about in his letters is not here in Revelation, except as we see the New Jerusalem. That is the church, but that's not until the very end. That's after the millennium. The letters were written to all 7 churches, okay, who comprise one group, and they're to hear what the Spirit is saying to all 7 of them. But you got another problem here, and this is the hour of trial. What is the hour of trial? How long is it? When does it take place? And is it the 7-year tribulation, or is it something else? And I'm going to propose to you that it's something else, and that it's actually very knowable when this hour of trial will take place, how long it will last, and who is it a trial for? Okay, and I think that's the really important thing here as well, is knowing who is this trial for. So the first thing that I think we need to do is actually look at this word trial or testing. And this is from the Strong's number 3986, and it means temptation or a test. So it can be a test in a positive sense, that someone is tested so that they are tried and come out as gold, like Peter talks about. Or they can be tested like Jesus was tested or tried in the wilderness when Satan came and tempted him, a test that Jesus passed. Or it can be a trial or a temptation or even a calamity or an affliction. And I think this word is going to carry more of the idea of a calamity. It's an hour of calamity that comes on the whole earth, and it's going to try and test people. We're going to find out who people are and what they're made of. Now, the tribulation, which is what people want to equate this with, is the hour of trial is the same thing as the hour of tribulation. Tribulation is an entirely different word. It's the Strong's number 2347. It's thlipsis, and it's pressure. That's what it means, particularly internal pressure. It's a challenge of being able to cope with something, especially if there's no way of escape. And it refers often to persecution. And both of these words are used in the letter to the church of Smyrna. Do not fear what you're about to suffer. Behold, the devil is about to throw some of you into prison that you may be tested. Okay, and this is a test for finding out something positive about people that they actually are going to overcome. For 10 days, you will have tribulation. That's thlipsis. That's this pressure. You're going to have pressure for 10 days. Be faithful unto death, and I'll give you the crown of life. Okay, let's take a look at the word hour. An hour can mean several things. It can be any defined preset length of time. Okay, so here's an example. John 16:2. They will put you out of the synagogues. Indeed, the hour is coming when whoever kills you will think he's offering service to God. So there's an hour, there's a predetermined period of time when people will kill believers. Jesus often said, "My hour has not yet come." That is his time for whatever, being the king of Israel, or his hour where he would be crucified, refers to a specific event that is going to be of an undisclosed duration, but it's a limited duration. Okay, so an hour can be a literal hour. I'm going to go over these principles of interpretation and the way to interpret Revelation. These principles tend to apply with any book of the Bible that you're studying, but for Revelation, this is sort of my hermeneutical principles for how I interpret Revelation. Okay, the first thing is that all units of time I'm going to take as being literal. So the 1,260 days are real days, 42 months are 42 30-day months, half an hour is a half an hour, and so on. Any unit of time in Revelation is literal. That's how I view time in Revelation. Okay, in other places it can be figurative, but I think in Revelation all units of time should be taken literally unless there is some reason to not do it that way. Thus, I think the hour of trial is going to be a literal hour. We're going to find out if that's true or not. The second principle here is that the immediate context of a passage is going to be the first place that we look to find out what it means. So what is the context? What's its immediate context? The verses before and the verses after. And there's a priority of context. So the first context is going to be the surrounding verses. Okay, what do those verses say? And if they don't say anything, then what does the book itself have to say about this? Is there anything else in the book that talks about this? The third context is, how does the author of this book talk about this in other books? So Revelation was written by John. John wrote a gospel and 3 letters. And so is there anything in any of those other books that talks about or has a reference to this that would help shed light on it? And the fourth is the extended priority, which is what else in the Bible talks about this. We start with the closest things and we work out from there. So we start out with the passages that are around the verse, and then we look at ones that are in the context of the book itself, and then we'll go and then we ask, are there any other books written by this person that could shed light on it? And finally, is there anything else in the whole Bible that talks about this, that could sort of illuminate what we're talking about here? So let me give you an example of this. In Revelation chapter 1, John sees Jesus. He's got 7 stars in his hand. He's walking among 7 lampstands. Okay, that's in Revelation chapter 1, verse 16, that he sees the 7 stars. And then just a few verses later, in verse 20, just 4 verses later, John is told that the golden lampstands are the 7 churches and that the stars are the messengers or angels to the 7 churches. So right there in the context of Revelation is the interpretation. It's the meaning of what those symbols are. Part of what this does right away in chapter 1, it lets us know that much of what we read in Revelation is going to be symbolic, that the book itself may tell us what the symbols are, and then there are other times when we're going to have to look in other places to find out the meaning to the symbols. And the story is told via symbols. The real things are going to happen to real people, but the identities of the people are in symbols, and the events may be told symbolically as well. The question now is this: are there any other passages in Revelation that contain the word hour, specifically with reference to a possible time of trial or calamity? Okay, and the answer to that question is yes, 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 yes. There are many references to the word hour that also include some really bad things that are happening. So the very next time we see the word hour is actually in Revelation 9, verses 13 through 15. Then the sixth angel blew his trumpet, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar before God, saying to the sixth angel who had the trumpet, "Release the four angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates." So the four angels who'd been prepared for the hour, the day, the month, and the year were released to kill a third of mankind. Okay, so here's an hour that's actually on a specific day, month, and year. So we know this is not a metaphorical hour. This is an actual hour that has a day associated with it, a month, and a specific year. And these four angels who are released have been prepared to be released on this specific hour. And they're going to kill a third of mankind. I would say that's a calamity. Okay, in the next passage that we see the word hour is in Revelation 11, verses 12 through 14. And then they heard a loud voice from heaven saying to them, "Come up here." And they went up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies watched them. At that hour, there was a great earthquake, and a tenth of the city fell. 7,000 people were killed in the earthquake, and the rest were terrified and gave glory to the God of heaven. The second woe has passed. Behold, the third woe is soon to come. Okay, now this event is connected to the sixth trumpet. How do we know that? Because it's connected to the second woe. The second woe has passed. The sixth trumpet lasts an hour on a day, month, and year. The second woe only lasts an hour. And I would say that there is a calamity that's happening at this time with a great earthquake, a tenth of the city falling, and 7,000 people being killed. Both of these passages reference events taking place at around the same time, which is the second woe or the sixth trumpet. The passage in Revelation 11 puts the second woe, the sixth trumpet, on the same day that the two witnesses ascend into heaven. And from other passages of Scripture, we know that the day that the two witnesses ascend into heaven will be the day of the abomination of desolation. It's the day that the remnant of Israel will flee into the wilderness. All right, so when's the next time we see the word hour? That's in Revelation chapter 14, verses 6 through 11. Then I saw another angel flying directly overhead with an eternal gospel to proclaim to those who dwell on earth, to every nation and tribe and language and people. And he said with a loud voice, "Fear God and give him glory, because the hour of his judgment has come." Okay, so here's an hour, and it's the hour of judgment that has come. "And worship him who made heaven and earth, the sea, and the springs of water." All right, so a second angel follows saying, "Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great, she who made all nations drink the wine of the passion of her sexual immorality." All right, so we have the hour of judgment coming, and at the same time we're told that Babylon has fallen. So this hour, the sixth trumpet, is connected with ascension and resurrection of the two witnesses, a time of trial, an hour of judgment, and the fall of Babylon. And verse 9 here, "And another angel, a third, followed them, saying with a loud voice, If anyone worships the beast and its image and receives a mark on his forehead or on his hand, he will drink the wine of God's wrath, poured full strength into the cup of his anger, and he'll be tormented with fire and sulfur in the presence of the holy angels, in the presence of the Lamb, and the smoke of their torment goes up forever and ever. They have no rest, day or night, these worshippers of the beast and its image, and whoever receives the mark of his name." So these three angels are connected to the hour of judgment, which I believe could be an hour of trial. They're connected with the fall of Babylon. They're proclaiming the fall of Babylon. And the third thing is, this is the beginning of the worship of the beast. Okay, the worship of the beast, the taking the mark of the beast and the image of the beast. This actually signals the beginning of the day when the beast will begin to reign, which is on the day of the abomination of desolation. All right, so we have another hour that actually connects us now to the harlot, Mystery Babylon, and her judgment. And this is Revelation 17, verses 12, 13, and 15 through 18. And the 10 horns you saw are 10 kings who have not yet received royal power, but they are to receive authority as kings for 1 hour. Okay, this is 1 hour, literal 1 hour, together with the beast. These are of one mind, and they hand over their power and authority to the beast. And the angel said to me, the waters that you saw where the prostitute is seated are peoples and multitudes and nations and languages. Okay, in other words, the whole world. Okay, and remember, the hour of trial comes upon the whole earth, or the whole world. And the 10 horns you saw, they and the beast will hate the prostitute. They will make her desolate and naked and devour her flesh and burn her up with fire. For God has put it into their hearts to carry out his purpose by being of one mind and handing over their royal authority to the beast until the words of God are fulfilled. And the woman that you saw is the great city that has dominion over the kings of the earth. Okay, that great city is Mystery Babylon. Okay, Babylon the Great, who sits on all the nations of the world. Okay, and the beast and the 10 kings are going to have authority for 1 hour to carry out the destruction of the harlot, Mystery Babylon. Revelation chapter 18, verses 2 and 3 again talk about this fall of Babylon. Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great. She's become a dwelling place for demons, a haunt for every unclean spirit, a haunt for every unclean bird, and a haunt for every unclean and detestable beast. For all nations have drunk the wine of the passion of her sexual immorality. Okay, all nations are part of this. Revelation 18:8. For this reason her plagues will come in a single day, death and mourning and famine, and she will be burned up with fire, for mighty is the Lord God who judges her. Okay, so God is going to judge the harlot, but he's going to use the beast and the 10 kings, plus 4 angels, plus a 200 million man army to do it. Revelation 18:10. They will stand far off in fear of her torment and say, alas, alas, you great city, you mighty city, Babylon, for in a single hour your judgment has come. Okay, notice this is a single hour. This is reference not to a metaphorical hour, but a single hour. That judgment has come. Revelation 18:16 and 17. Alas, alas, for the great city that was clothed in fine linen, in purple and scarlet, adorned with gold and jewels and with pearls, for in a single hour all this wealth has been laid waste. In Revelation chapter 18, verses 19 and 20. And they threw dust on their heads as they wept and mourned, crying out, alas, alas, for the great city, where all who had ships at sea grew rich by her wealth. For in a single hour she has been laid waste. It sounds like a trial to me. Rejoice over her, O heaven, and you saints and apostles and prophets, for God has given judgment for you against her. The hour of trial that comes on the whole world is the 6th trumpet judgment of Mystery Babylon, the harlot, the entity that rules over the kings of the earth and is worldwide. A third of the world's population will be killed in a single hour on a single day by 4 fallen angels, a 200 million entity, army. Don't know if these are men or men who are, we have no idea. It's an army though. The beast and 10 kings with fire, smoke, sulfur, and plagues. The faithful of the 144,000 of Israel will be kept from this hour of trial. They will be taken into heaven just prior to this event, as evidenced by their presence in heaven before the three angels deliver those messages about the hour of judgment coming, and fallen is Babylon the Great, and don't take the mark of the beast. Okay, and this is what it says. Then I looked, and behold, on Mount Zion stood the Lamb, and with him 144,000 who had his name and his father's name written on their foreheads. Okay, this is key. Remember this about the name of the Lamb and the Father being written on their foreheads. Remember, the 144,000 are going to be sealed on their foreheads. Plus, the letter to the Church of Philadelphia talks about these people having writing on their foreheads. In Revelation 3:12, the one who conquers, I'll make him a pillar in the temple of my God. Never shall he go out of it. And I will write on him the name of my God, the name of the city of my God, the new Jerusalem, which comes down from my God out of heaven, and my own new name. And then in verse 2 of Revelation 14, and I heard a voice from heaven like the roar of many waters, and like the sound of loud thunder. And the voice I heard was like the sound of harpists playing their harps, and they were singing a new song before the throne, and before the four living creatures, and before the elders. They're redeemed. Now, whenever you see someone being redeemed, okay, especially with in the context of first fruits, we need to think about a firstborn male child who belongs to God. Okay, and the firstborn males are redeemed. That is, they're not killed. Okay, they're meant. You have to redeem your firstborn. If they were a firstborn lamb or something, you could sacrifice it. A firstborn donkey would have to be redeemed, or otherwise you have to break its neck. So firstborn sons, they're redeemed. They're brought alive into heaven. We know that this hour of trial is going to come on the whole earth to try those who dwell on the earth. And the definition of an earth dweller is actually in Revelation 13:8. And all who dwell on the earth will worship the beast, all those whose names have not been written from the foundation of the world in the book of life belonging to the Lamb who was slain. So the judgment of the harlot and the earth dwellers will take place at the sixth trumpet, the second woe, and this is going to be the first of two judgments on the harlot. The second judgment will be necessary because some of the earth dwellers will still be alive after the sixth trumpet judgment. So here's my understanding of the letter to the Church of Philadelphia. Like all of the other letters, all 7 of the letters were written to the 144,000 of Israel. And even though the promises that are in the letters may apply to believers throughout all time, the specific warnings and the specific details in the letters apply only to the 144,000 servants of God. Okay, the faithful 144,000 will be kept from the literal hour of trial that comes on the whole world, which has been identified as the sixth trumpet, second woe, taking place on a predetermined day, month, and year, which will result in the judgment of the harlot and some, but not all, of the earth dwellers. The beast, 10 kings, 4 angels, 4 fallen angels, and a 200 million man army under the inspiration of God will carry out this destruction by fire, smoke, and sulfur, and other plagues. And this will all come as a surprise to the harlot. The 144,000 will be present in heaven before the 42-month reign of the beast begins and before the harlot is destroyed. The hour of trial will coincide also with the abomination of desolation, which is the midpoint of Daniel's 70th week, and it will also coincide with the resurrection and ascension of the 2 witnesses. The 24 elders will already be present in heaven to welcome the 144,000 before the hour of trial. The 24 elders will have been raptured in the man-child rapture of Revelation 12:5 and brought into God's throne room as kings and priests. The man-child or 24 elder rapture will take place after the travail of the woman, which I believe is equated with an invasion of Israel, the Gog-Magog invasion, and after Satan casts his stars or his angels to the earth. But before the rapture of the 144,000, the hour of trial will be the trial, the test, the judgment, the calamity of the harlot and those whom she controls, the kings, the merchants, the earth dwellers, and so on. Okay, so that's how all that works. All of that's in my PDF, Kingdom of Priests, the timeline template. You can get a copy of that. Link is in the description box. Let me know what you think in the comments section. We'll see you on another video. Till then, have a blessed day.